Okay, so gonna start the recording. This is gonna be a quick tutorial guide or a quick dive into JavaScript. So I'm not gonna go too deep into topic about learning everything that you need to know about JavaScript. I'm gonna be skipping a lot of things, but these are the main things that I've used so far, and I've been fine with them for the most part. Maybe there's still a few things that maybe I use. I'm not gonna be covering it here, but and this should be a good start, and I'll give you some tools which can guide you to continue learning. Mainly, I think once you get the concept, the main thing that you're going to be doing if you want to continue learning about JavaScript is just learn the different methods, which I'll cover in a bit. But I do have like these instructions about what I'm going to be teaching, so I'm going to go one by one. And yeah, I'm going to start with installing Node. That's the first step because if you don't have Node, you can't run JavaScript. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do, and actually for this, I do have a video, but um, essentially you will have to go to Node.js, download and install Node. It seems like the UI changed compared to how I used to download. So my best guess would be to go here and then download. And then just open up the file and something should pop up like a wizard or a dialog or it'll prompt you. But just to give you an idea how it looks, we can go here. And this is how it used to look. So you would just download the latest one recommended for most users. But I mean, sometimes they just change the UI, so we gotta get used to it either way. But I think if you install this one, it'll be fine. So not the package manager, unless you're fine later on if you know what the hell these are. I mean, there are ways to install it, but this is the pre-built installer, so you'll be fine with this one. And it'll be similar to this. But yeah, I'm gonna run this real quick and just gonna speed it up. And I guess I'll give it 1.5.
Page of nodejs.org, you will see two versions. First version will be the LTS version, and the other version will be the latest and greatest current version. So I'm going to download the LTS version because support for this will be longer. So I'm going to click on 18.15.0 LTS, which is the latest version at the time of making this video. So let's download it for window, which is the Node.js file, and let me minimize my browser, and you will see this kind of window, which is the Node.js setup window. So I'm going to click on next here, and this is the license terms and conditions. Just to check this checkbox and then click on next. This will be the default location where Node.js will be installed. So if you don't have the good reason to change this location, just leave it as default and then click on next. And at this point also, you can just leave everything as default and then click on next. Here you can see tools for native modules. So here, if you check this checkbox, it's going to automatically install the necessary tools. And also it says note that this will also install Chocolatey. And Chocolatey is a very good utility which allows you to install various different tools on your Windows operating system. So if it installs Chocolatey, it will be good. So I'm okay with that. So I'm going to check this checkbox and then click on next, and then click on install here, which is going to install a Node.js. But first of all, you will see this kind of prompt which says, do you want to allow this app to make changes on your device? I will click on yes. It starts the installation, and it will finish the installation really fast. So just wait for a few seconds. And after some time, you will see this message which says completed the Node.js setup, and Node.js has been successfully installed. So I can click on finish, and Node.js is installed on my Windows 11 operating system.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there. So yeah, you're gonna be downloading that, so it'll pop on your downloads. You open that up, and the window will pop up, and you're gonna follow this the similar things that this video showed. Just mostly gonna click on the default. Mainly gonna click next. There was a section where you click on chocolatey or whatever. Which one is it? Yeah, I guess you can. You'll be fine if you don't check it out, as far as I know. But just to be safe, I mean, it shouldn't be doing anything, so you should be fine. It just says it'll install necessary tools as you go. But yeah, you can check it around, check it. It's fine. It's up to you. Probably check it just in case, and then go next, and then finalize. and that's all you need. Okay. But yeah, it's very different now. So again, go to Prebuild, install this, open it up, and follow the prompts once the window pops. And just to verify that you have the right version, you can open the command prompt or go here. It's fine. I mean, it's still PowerShell. Yeah, it should be fine. So if I do node dash V, if you see a number right here, you're fine. But if you see something like, oh, yeah, don't recognize node, I don't know, and there's something off. So if you have that issue, just message me, let me know. I don't know. We can go from there. But yeah, that's the main things about how to get started with Node, because otherwise you won't be able to run JavaScript. And then once you are able to do that, then to run JavaScript, let's say a file, you just do node and then let's say instructions JS. Obviously, this is not going to run because this is a text file, but I could run this. Maybe I could run it. So let's see. I'm not sure what I wrote, but expiration JS. Yep. Yeah, so I have code here. This is something that I was working on, but yeah, I was testing how to work with expirations or with the dates. Um, I can talk about this in a bit as well, but yeah, this is just like a method or how to pull a date. But no need to go into details for now. But yeah, that's the basics, how to get started. So the next thing, I'm gonna erase this. And the next thing to know, just know how to print. So far, let's say in C Sharp, you know how to print with console.write line. In this case, you're going to use console.log. So I'm going to create another one, and it's going to call test or yeah, testing. It's fine, doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm going to show everything here in this file. So to console log, just to print anything, let's say hello world, and I'm using Copilot, it's fine. Makes me code faster, but yeah, if I do the same thing, so I'm gonna do this time node testing.js, you'll see that it'll print things here, okay? And also you can use the bash here, git bash. Usually you'll be using this mostly when it comes to um, what's it called? I think this will be the bash will be more useful for uploading things into GitHub, but you already know how to do that, so you should be fine. But yeah, if you have issues with PowerShell, just use Bash instead. Like let's say, I mean, I can still run the same thing, but yeah, um, node testing JS, and it should work as well. Okay, so whichever you want, maybe just to be safe, use the Bash instead of the PowerShell, but you'll be fine. Okay, so that's the main thing, how to print things. And you're going to be using this a lot for testing to verify that things work. So you can put test anything, testing. Oh, and always save, by the way. Yep. So you can put anything here. If you want to append, let's say, I'm going to use this variable. Just know that this is a variable, by the way, or I'll use this for now. It's fine. Number. Okay. If you want to append, usually you can use, there's so many ways to do it, but this is one way. Yep. So yeah, that's one way, but usually you can use to print whatever you want. You don't have to use like C sharp like this and then number. No, that's not the syntax. But usually you can do like a comma after your um yeah, once you want to print a variable or something, then yeah, just do like number or whatever your variable is called. But yeah, I think you can do something like this as well. So number, I don't need this. Okay. So let's say you want to write, add some, like a string afterwards, then you should be fine. There's so many ways to do it, but like, you can also do it like this. Usually this is how I was doing it. So you might see code online, testing number. And this is another way. So you use the plus, and then it'll print the same way. It's up to you how you want to do it, but usually you want to combine like variables with strings. Uh, JavaScript won't be that strict. It is less strict, but there is issues usually with JavaScript. Sometimes because variables are not as strict as like other ones, and I'll get to it. Usually with when you declare a variable, you have to use int, double, whatever. But like with this, you can get away with just using var, const, or let. So and const and number two and let number. Okay. So usually whenever you want to instantiate an integer, a double, whatever, you're gonna use only these three. Mainly these two, but yeah, the program will automatically know kind of like or interpret what type of data type it is. So for example, I want to find out what data type is number one. Uh, you do type of, do number one, okay? And just run it. And it tells you it's a number. I mean, integer. Again, it's a different syntax, but it's telling you it's a number. I mean, can easily assume right off the bat that's an integer. But let's say I do type of uh, text, and let me define text. Okay, and obviously it's going to be a string. So there you go. And what about if I do a boolean, var boolean, type of boolean, and you'll see that it throws a boolean. So yeah, I mean, it already tells you like it already figures out which data type it is. But yeah, that's the thing about it. It doesn't really, it's not that strict with how you name things, but sometimes there is a catch with not being as strict because when you are coding a lot of things, I mean, sometimes you make assumptions that yeah, you come back to maybe using, let's say, a variable number three, and then somewhere around the line like your folders start getting very deep, like you start like using a lot of things, and so I don't know, maybe somewhere around the line you make assumptions that okay, every time number three I call it, it's going to be a number, but somewhere around those lines you change this into a string. Let's say let I change number to a string instead, and it will allow you to do that. I mean, it won't have any issues. So let's say 40. Okay. And it'll still print. Like, usually you don't have this issue. I mean, you do have this issue with other ones. So let me see. Number two. Oh, sorry. Actually, okay. It's through an error because constant variable, you can't change it. Once you define a constant variable, you cannot change the variable no matter what. So right here I'm trying to change two. I can do that, but with a constant I can't. With a let or bar I can. But yeah, let's see. I'm gonna try with three instead. Sorry. But yeah, I'm changing three, and because it's a bar or a let, I'm allowed to do that. So if I run it, yes, you can see that. No, never mind. I had to change this one. So three. So again, initially it was 30. It's a number, but then I changed it to a string. And with other languages, you can't do that. But right here, you'll notice that I can't. So you see. So again, the catch about using sometimes JavaScript, that doesn't have all these strict rules, is that yes, somewhere around those lines you can do this, but let's say you make an assumption later on and you're not supposed to change with, I don't know, something that you instantiated with a number, and later on you change it with a string accidentally, then you'll encounter bugs. And so that's why TypeScript exists, because TypeScript allows you to use JavaScript, but instead of using var const let, you actually go back to using integer. Is it an integer? Is it a double? Etc. Etc. For my project, for example, you don't have to worry about that, but just keep that in mind that it might be an issue later on, but just to be safe, just learn how to use let and const for now. I mean, like, be careful when you use let, because if you make a change somewhere along those lines and change the data type, and later on, your program interprets something as a number, then you will encounter bugs. So be careful. But yeah, just to be safe, always use const, so that way, um, yeah, you don't have any issues with if you need to change something, then const will stop you. So I already showed you how I try to change number. Um, Number two, it's a const, but it's not gonna let me because I'm changing it. It doesn't matter if I'm changing it to another number or a different string. I mean, if I change it to 50, it's gonna throw me something in there because I cannot change the value. It says assignment to constant variable. You can't do this. So yeah, but again, with let or var, you can. So if I try to change var number one, I can easily do that as well. So you'll see. Okay. So those are very basics. Again, hopefully that makes sense, but I'll continue to move on. If you have any questions, just ask me about these different types. So const, var, and let. But again, in summary, you don't need to specify the data type that you're going to be using, whether it's integer, string, etc. Okay, so that's the basics. So I guess I already went through printing, but also um, the difference between const, let, and var. Floats, I guess I haven't covered floats. So floats, I forgot how to deal with floats. So I'm gonna go here, floats, JavaScript. Yeah, I hardly use them, but you can go to W3 schools or MDN web docs. It'll show you how to use these. But let's see. Um, Again, right here, you'll see that to define a float, let's say you're using let, it'll already automatically determine that you're using a float. Um, but sometimes you do have to make sure. Um, there are tricks, but so far I hardly use floats, but I can see where you might use them. So yeah, I might have to clarify a little bit more if I miss any information, but usually, again, you don't have to define the float, but if you want to convert, let's see, convert something, convert integer to float. Um, yeah, actually, no, I forgot. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry too much about floats, but yeah, again, it's not very strict. I'll have to come back on maybe instances where you might deal with floats, like if there's any catches, but so far, you'll mainly be fine. Let's say if you want to use I don't know, you're calculating, let's say, an invoice where you're dealing with decimals, you'll be fine. You'll usually be fine. So let's say I'm gonna delete all this const I'm gonna add, one float or two floats. So num1 equals 10.5 and const number 3.5. If I add, I should be fine. So I'm gonna run this. Hmm. Yeah, I think I have to do let because it didn't print anything. Oh, never mind. No, it was fine. Forgot to do a console log. Okay. Mhm. See? Let's use a different number. So 3.5.1. See? So again, you don't really have to define like a decimal over here like you were doing over in C sharp. You don't have to do that. Right here, you can use the const, let, or double, and it'll handle it for you. So again, it's not very strict, but there are sometimes catches. If I can think of the catches later on how you have to deal with uh, floats, I'll let you know. But for now, this is just the basic that you can simply, you can add like a non-float with a float. So that's fine. So this should generate 13.5 and it'll run fine. See? 13.5. Okay. So not very strict. Not very strict. But yeah, that's like the basics. Um that's the quick definition of how to deal with the integer strings and booleans floats. Again, if there's something else that I might be missing, you can let me know or I'll put it out there later on. But for now, this should be good enough. Just understand the data types. Okay, so I'll move on. The next thing would be I think these two are pretty much the same thing. So you're going to be using usually the operators like these, the equalizers. I don't think I'm calling it right, but yeah, these are just ways to determine equality. Um, so, I mean, you already seen if else statements. Also, I mean, we can cover switches. It's up to you, but switches doesn't change much. So, let's see how to use a switch. Usually, I don't use switches. Switch. So I always forget it, but it's very similar to what's it called? Mm, it's very similar to how we were doing it with C sharp, and you can see right here, like you do a switch, do the expression, and then you start it with brackets, and then you put all your cases here. I still even remember the default, but again, I hardly use it, so it's up to you. But again, MDN is a good place to learn different things. So if you see MDN, it'll give you an example, and then you can run things here. And I'll go over this because you can find like more things to do within MDN. But yeah, I can give a brief example. I guess I can copy this. But yeah, I mean the if else statement, I mean it's the same thing. So testing, demonstrating the use of if else statements. And what can I test? Let's say const h. Yeah, this is a good example. Again, this is why Copilot is very useful. You can definitely use Copilot to learn at the same time, but yeah. So here the logic is, I mean, again, it doesn't change. Like it's the same thing that you see in C sharp. So really, you just do if, and then you put like whatever your condition is, your expression. And so yeah, you don't even have to define like the int or anything. So far as I know, let's see. Let me open up. an example that we've done. For example, the calculator, because the syntax is the same as far as I know. No, I opened the wrong one. Sorry. Or maybe the vehicle details. I remember we used it if else statements, but nah, never mind. Literally this and these, for example, right here, you don't even have to worry about like top level expression. I forgot what it was. But you don't have to define like program my application, none of that. You don't have to worry about that with JavaScript, just so you know. But yeah, I mean, again, we're covering if else statements. So you can see the logic, the way you write, it's the same thing. So starting from here, you can see that if you put your expression here and then you do something, if that expression hits, it's the same thing. So literally, like, there's no difference in syntax when it comes to if else statements. And from there, I mean, you can use again, you can keep expanding it. So if you want to use uh, else if, and you can keep going. So I mean, there's no difference. So I'm gonna run this real quick. So 18, obviously, we can run with this. Uh, yeah, so you get the point, but yeah, there's no difference with the syntax between JavaScript and C Sharp when it comes to if else. So if I try to convert this into switch statements, and again, the equalizers. Oh yeah, I forgot. Let's say usually when you want to equalize, let me go back. Yeah, so I assume you already know this and this. So this is for using or, this is for and. You already should understand that logic. But as far as this, I mean, usually JavaScript uses like three. So let's see. I'm just gonna do this. Okay. There is a difference between using this, but usually, let I'm gonna change this to 16. And this shouldn't run, by the way. Okay. But yeah, it run. There's a difference between equal and there's a difference between this. I keep forgetting the difference. I'm not gonna go over it. If you want to look it up, that's fine. But I would say anytime you want to do an equalizer, just use three equals. If you want to check non-equal, you're gonna do this, not this. Okay, it'll work, but there is a difference. So again, I keep forgetting the difference, but you can easily look it up and ask what's the difference between this and versus this, or what's the difference between. Mm, what's the other one? Yeah, those are the main ones. So yeah, there's a difference between these three or these two. So look it up, but mainly just to be safe, just use these. I mean, this one and this one to refer to equal or not equal. Okay. I mean, obviously you can also do yeah, you can use this as well. Um, I'll cover that in a bit, but you can use let's say Boolean. This is also valid. So yeah. I mean, this is what it's saying is that when you put this exclamation at the back, and that means that it'll return the opposite. So, well, there's more to that. I think that's a very basic explanation, but I'll go over this if it comes up. But just want to show you that you can do that as well. But yeah, again, I'm mainly trying to explain the equal operators or not equal. So again, if you want to check that not equal, just put again two. You're going to do exclamation and two equals. You want to do equal, exactly equal, and do this. That's the safest way to get the response because if you do this, there are a few catches, so don't use it. That's what I'm going to say. Yes, it works on C sharp. It might also works, let's say, on C++ plus plus and whatever. But if you're going to be working with JavaScript, you use the three equals. I think Python, you also just use this, but JavaScript wants to be different, so don't ask me why. But again, look up the differences between the two equals and three equals and so on and so forth. Okay. So again, I'm not going to go over this. I guess I could. Hmm, I guess I could do. Okay, so I just tested the OR, so I'm going to do 50. And again, it's saying if age equals 18 or age equal is more than 18, I mean, it's going to return true or it's going to return true depending if the expression passes. So again, this is something that already was covered. So you can also test this. But again, the and or the or, we've already covered them, so there's no difference between the languages. So you should be fine. Uh, again, the greater, less, um, this is what we're using so far. You can use greater or equal, whatever, or less or equal, whichever. I mean, this is the same thing than C sharp. It does not change. So again, I'm not trying to get too deep into it, but again, it can be pretty redundant. Explain how to use those. Again, all I'm trying to show you is that the syntax is the same when it comes to the if else. Again, I forgot that I was going to go over the switch, so I can go over that. So I'm going to delete this, but yeah, I'll go over the switches. So if you feel more comfortable with the switches, then this switch. There should be a default console.log. Yeah. Okay, so the syntax should be the same. Yeah. So you can see right here. But yeah, it follows the same expression as C sharp. So there's nothing that changes. And you can put right here whatever you want. But yeah, let's say I'm 50. Actually, I'll use 40 so I can hit the 40. It should hit this one. No, this is good enough. So yeah, it hit you are 40 years old, but let's say I put 64 or 65, sorry. Yep. So, I mean, it's the same thing. Again, the syntax doesn't change, so you should be fine with this. In case you want to use the if statements, go ahead. If you want to use the switch, sometimes one is better than the other, but usually I go with more with if else. I think that's very newbie, but yeah, I just never got. I mean, yeah, I understand the switch, but I don't know. I never got the preference of using them. But it's up to you. There's two ways of using the if else statements. Again, if you want to use switch, go ahead. But yeah, I don't know. But I'll leave it right there. Now, the next thing to learn is arrays. Um, yeah, so for this, the arrays, I think, I mean, I could always stop here. Hmm. Yeah, I have to think about arrays and probably loops, but yeah, I'm gonna go over the easy one. So this is gonna be a two series. But yeah, I'll skip arrays for now and loops because I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything vital. Um, but yeah, I guess I could just work with comment. So comment is not a big deal. I think I already did some comment, so this is a comment. But yeah, if you want to, let's say bar, you have like so many lines. So the log, whatever. Let's say that I don't want to run this anymore. Like this is not going to print obviously because it's commented up. But yeah, that's one way to comment. So just put two forward slashes, or you can do, let's say, instead of doing that, just there are two different ways of doing it. So there's this one. But as you can see right here, if I didn't put this last thing, like this last line, it will comment everything below. Doesn't matter, but because I put like a stop, this is just indicating there's a stop. Yeah, you only catch like these. Okay, so I'm only comment that portion out. So there's two ways of doing it. Okay, so that's the easiest way to comment. I mean it's I guess it's similar to C sharp as far as I know. So yeah, you should be fine with that. Working with VS Code and debugging, I think we already went over that, but just in case, let's say if I want to debug this and I don't want to keep using node dot, you know, you get the drift. You can easily set a debugger. So you go here, right here, again, where the bug is, run a debug, and just do node.js. Um, I guess it changed the way it does it. Yeah, you can do that. Well, actually became easier because before you had to actually create a launch.json and you had to customize it, but I guess they changed things where you don't have to do that. So yeah, I was gonna go over create the launch.json. You don't have to, but if you're testing something real quick, in case you do need it, I'll come back to this. But yeah, usually when you create this, you open up, I guess I can create it. But yeah, you don't have to. Let's say I want to test this. I want to debug. Yeah, so it's not printing the rest, but it'll put a breakpoint. So you just click here until the dot appears. Again, you go here. I'm just gonna stop uh, right here. But so far, I mean, we have gone through debug, I think in one of the labs, so it's pretty much the same thing. But again, I'm debugging this get expiration, so I just hit here, run debug, and you'll see your debug information here, your console logs. So if I step over, uh, it'll go over each line of code. And that's how you kind of try to see like, any errors. You can put a breakpoint so you can see what's happening and you'll see, information here, but you also see information about your data types here. You can also put a watch here. I mean, I'll go over watches later on, but let's say I want to watch this variable now, and I step forward, you'll see that, okay, I got the value. I can go over this example a bit more in detail, but I'm just showing you the basics how this works. So again, this is mainly to see how your run is working. So usually it's very handy if you're running maybe functions. I'll go over functions in a bit or later in a different video, but yeah. Um, yeah, this is just a way to actually go over your code. So you can use step over, step in. Again, I'll go over this later on. Well, there's differences between these three, and if you really want to end it quickly, continue, or you want to stop. I guess I can go over this more into more detail, but these you'll find it in C sharp. So if you get used to using these in C sharp, I mean, you can easily debug uh, in JavaScript, but this is just a basic example how it all works. Okay. So again, just to create a launch.json, this is another way to debug. I'm going to use Node. And what it's saying is that I kind of don't mess with this, but usually right here, this is the main thing that I used to mess with. So let's say I want to debug anytime I do this, and I want to debug get expirations. So I'm gonna hit run. I'm gonna get rid of this breakpoint. But yeah, anytime I hit this, it'll automatically just run the debugger. I don't have to go here every time. Because it's already set up here. But let's say I want to debug testing. Um, yeah, you'll see that it keeps running. So if I want to switch to testing, if I set this up, then I will have to change this. Okay, and make sure I save. I'm using the shortcut to save, sorry. But yeah, now that I run it, let's say I was here, I want to print this, but because I have testing to debug, I just run this and it'll print the test. So that's the main thing about launch.json. Again, if you want to learn how to do that again, just rewind. But yeah, mainly you just want to change this. So after work space folder // you just point to the right file. So that's all you mainly have to do. But just because I noticed that you don't have to do that, I would say don't create it. Just hit here and it'll pop like, okay, run and debug and just run it. That way, every time you switch to a different folder, you do it like that. But when it comes to databases, usually you don't debug that way. I'll show you later on how to debug when you're working with databases. But yeah, just so you know, if you want to debug something real quick, a quick sample in JavaScript, just create your folder, open it up in Visual Studio, create a file. Doesn't matter, name it whatever you want, testing.js, main.js, index.js, whatever, and then just go to make sure you select that file, click here, and then you see this, but you can always hit run and debug, and then it'll debug, whatever file you're in. So just in case you have multiple files that you want to test and you don't want to use the launch.json, you can do that. So, um, but yeah, that's that how to debug. And I'll get rid of the debug. So yeah, this is how to debug with Visual Studio Code. For usually for my project, you don't have to use Visual Studio. I'm not sure you're getting used to Visual Studio, but I do recommend that to use Visual Studio Code instead because you'll be running the bash more often. So yeah, I'm gonna go to terminals, and yeah, you're gonna be using the terminal a lot here. So yeah, don't use Visual Studio. Use for this project, use Visual Studio Code. I mean, you can still work with Visual Studio Code, but I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to you. Okay. Um, and yeah, I think those are the main things that I want to cover. I'll go over these in another video, but yeah, I just wanted to introduce you to the basics. So I think that's a good point to stop. So you want to take a break, that's fine. But yeah, I'll go over this in a different recording, so stay tuned. But yeah, I'll make sure because I can go right now and explain everything, but I think there are a few things that I might miss, so I don't want to rush it. So I'll think about my explanation, what I would explain, and then like if there's anything particular important that I need to cover as well. So I'll go over it shortly or soon, and I'll think about it and then come back to explain, arrays, loops, objects, functions. Well, you already kind of know about functions, but because of C sharp, but yeah, I'll cover this as well, and then the methods. Okay. But yeah, I'll just stop here. So this should be it. So just again, just stay tuned for the next video. Okay.